So when it comes to wealth creation, no matter how much money you are making right now, no matter how much money you will eventually make, how much money you eventually keep, but there is a place for posterity. The life after you is as important as the life you have right now. Like I said in some of my previous videos, one of my great mentors mentioned that whatever you are doing right now, who you are becoming, is more important than achieving or having. So what you are becoming is more important than having. So my name still remains Okwe Oluwa Oni, and we started a series yesterday talking about passing generational wealth down, and today we'll be talking about managing those generational wealth. I gave um, some codes definition about generational wealth in the previous videos, and so we'll be looking at how do we manage generational wealth. Okay, somebody said that it takes one bastard, to break the cycle of passing generational wealth from one generation to the other. And somebody said that it actually takes one risk taker in a generation to break the cycle of poverty. So the same way we pass wealth from one generation to the other, that's the same way you pass poverty to from one generation to the other. So we'll be looking at how do we now manage this wealth. So if you are the first generation, what do you do? If you are the second generation, what do you do? If you are the third generation, what do you do? So basically, there are so many things that you can do, but from my own little experience and that I've learned, I've seen, and there are basic things that I've put together that we can do as individuals, as counselors, as you're making money, no matter how little those money are right now. These things are very, very, very important. And there's a popular proverb that says that um, a house that you built will be sold by a child that you did not build. A house that you built will be sold by a child that you did not build. So it's very, very important. So, and what you leave for the child is not as important as what you leave inside the child. Okay, so these things are very, very, very important. So, what are you leaving? What are the legacy that will be said that you left inside the child? So, it's as important as what you are leaving for the child. So, that is very, very important. You see, wealth can grow wings and fly away. If what you leave inside the child is not a does not have the capacity to manage that which you have left for that child, okay, it's very, very important. So there are so many ways um, you can do some of these things. So, but we will be running through some of them, and I believe that at the end of the day, you'll be able to gain one or two things that will help you. Okay, so number one is communication and education. So when as you see, one of the mistakes we make most of the time in our journey of parenting, um, we often see the roles, our roles as fathers and mothers, as just being limited to, okay, I'm giving birth to you, I feed you, I send you to school, you reciprocate. Okay, that's not the way it works. Okay, it is more of a mentoring example. What do I do? What am I doing? What are they seeing me doing? That is really our roles. So we are more of a mentor because they are the first. I mean, I remembered I was having a conversation with my son, and sorry, my wife was having a conversation with my son, and I was talking about the fact that um, very, very. So he did something, and the mom was trying to say, "Okay, why did you do that?" and all of those things. I just gave my wife an answer, and I said, "That's the way my dad does it." And my wife was like, "What?" So it's not about what you are saying to the child; it's about what you are doing before the child. So we need to carry our child along. So communication has to be two ways. Let them ask questions. So you communicate to them. This is how I'm making wealth. For instance, now I always tell my child, That's it. The only way to make money is not because you are leaving home in the morning and you are coming back in the evening. It's not That's not the way. The only way to make money is by solving problems. That is the way to make money. The way to make money is by what? By solving problems. So are you going to solve problem? If you are going to be solving problem, then you are going to be making money. So that's one thing I keep communicating to him. So if you are thinking of you need to get this done, you need to get this done, what problem are you going to solve? That's the question. What value are you going to put on the table? Right? You need to let them to understand. So there are so many conversations that you need to have with them. What is money? What is really, really, really this money thing? What's the worst way you can make money? The worst way you can make money is to convert your time. Right? The best way you can make money is to convert your value. So those things are very, very important. So financial education is very, very important. Carrying them along is very, very important. Communicating them early is very, very important. You see, the formative stage of a child is 0 to 7. Oh, yes, some exceptional cases, the next 7 years, that's the 7 to 14 too. But as soon as a child past that 14 age, it's almost at the point of no return. Between that 7 to 14 is more or less like the extra life. But 0 to 7 is the formative stage of a child. The ability, because that's the stage of the highest level of curiosity. So that is when you need to start passing the communication down to them. So communication and education is very, very, very important. Then number two is that at every point in time, because who are we communicating? Let me just round up on number one. Who are we communicating with? We are communicating with the children that we are passing this wealth to. And it is very, very important. So it's as important, if not more important, as making the money in the first place. So that's very key. Number two is use professionals. See, when you are building wealth, you can, like one of my mentors would say, he said, most of the time, you can be street entrepreneurs, rugged guys, street smart, but at the corporate level, you are dwarf, right? It's very, very possible. But one thing that you need to understand is that that area that you are deficient, I talked about this during building systems and structure. You now need to what? You need to pump yourself up in that area, staff yourself in that area, bring in professionals in that area to fortify you in that area. So use professionals. Number three is you need to diversify. So we are talking about managing generational wealth. Okay. Um, so use professionals. See, at every point in time, use professionals. It's very, very important. So number three is diversification. Diversification, I will explain it this way. Okay, your father made money from real estate, right? He has a lot of estate and all of those things. Maintain that estate business. You, the second generation child, why not make money from half? The real estate is still there, but diversify. The reason is this. I mean, technology. I was watching um, a documentary, and I won't give details, but one of the reasons why the guy was out, I mean, was doing fake credentials. I mean, this was someone that was doing very, very well before and all of those things, and started doing fake documents, fake card, fake ID card, fake passport, and all of those things. And they were interviewing and said, see, the reason is that the original business he was doing, technology was what shut him down. So technology can come. There are so many. In fact, technology, the definition of technology is what eyes have not, the revolution of technology and how technology is advancing is what eyes have not seen, what ears have not heard, what ears have not heard. That is what is happening to technology sector. Okay, so things can happen, and they can happen very, 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 very fast. So diversification, especially when you are moving from one generation to the other. You are making money in whatever place, move them, store them in real estate. You are doing export, you are doing import, you are doing trading, store your value in real estate, store your value in gold, store your value in different areas, right? And use professional to manage those areas. Then number four is think long term. When you're managing generational wealth, think long term. Before I go to think long term, I was having a discussion with we're having a seminar one time, and we're having a discussion with someone, and the person mentioned the fact that the rent he makes from a virgin land that belongs to his father per annum is 13 million naira. That was about maybe 10 years ago, thereabouts. It was 13 million naira. And that was the rent. Virgin land, nothing is on the land. So there are some guys that just rent it for some reason. Quite massive expanse of. In fact, the value of the land alone, as at that time, was like by 25 billion or so thereabouts. So it's quite massive. So the rent he gets from that place, I don't know how he does it. I don't know. I can't remember the details now. But about 13 million naira. But that 13 million naira is using that money to expand the portfolio uh, of their wealth. Is using it to expand the portfolio of their wealth in another industry entirely, which is agric. So his passion is agric, and they are doing fantastic, awesome in agric sector. Okay, so that is diversification. So he is using the initial wealth as a leverage to diversify. Okay, number five is consistent review and updates. Oh, number four is think long term. Yes, yes, I skipped number four. Number four is think long term. Don't think about today alone. Think long term. Long term is very, very important. Don't just think about today, but think long term. Then number five is consistent review and update. Okay, what's the status? What's the status of every of our wealth creation vehicle? You need to look at it. And this is very, very important. So what's the status of our asset? What's the status of our liability? What are we creating? Where are we? Are we getting poorer? Are we getting richer? I remember of recent Dangote was saying in an interview that some of their wealth, he wants to denominate them in dollar and he wants to store them in New York because of the rate at which Naira is losing value. Because most of his investment are in Naira. He's thinking of the future because he knows that he's closer to death than being alive. That's the reality. Okay, it has been just realistic about it. So he needs to constantly review who is managing what, who is taking up what after you are gone, which will take me to number six is succession planning. Yes, we don't pray for death, we don't wish death, but death happens. Death will happen, it's inevitable. So there must be a structure, and especially if you are the first generation person that is creating wealth, who is taking over from you, you know at every point in time. That's why constant review is very important. If you have teenagers, for instance, in fact, when you are starting the journey, let me even say this. When you are starting the journey, I mean, I saw this a lot in the early days of my real estate journey. People want to come and buy a piece of property. They have a spouse, but instead of using their spouse to be the beneficiary, they use their child. A child that is a minor. How can a minor be a beneficiary? No, let us go into all those details, right? So, where am I? So succession planning is very, 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 very important. Who is taking over what? How are we sharing what? And what are we going to be sharing? That those details are very, very, very important. So having those structures, which is going to take me to the number seven, is which is structure and governance. Succession planning, structure and governance. Even while you are still alive, everybody needs to know who is doing what. What is the structure that we are running in this family, right? What's the structure? Who knows what daddy is doing? Who knows what mommy is doing? All those things are very, very, very important. So I'll run through them again. Number one, communication and education. Communication means carrying them along all the way. Education means that they need to know how this thing is done. Okay. Number two is use professionals. Always have professionals. See, you are the journey of building wealth. You are not, it's not child's play, right? So don't ever joke with using professional. Number three is diversification. Diversify your wealth portfolio, because lack of diversification is a risk, and is a big risk. Okay. Then number four is think long term. Think long term. Don't ever think now. Think 10 years, think 15 years, think 20 years. Yes, death can happen anytime, but think long term. Have a long term perspective to every form of investment, every form of vehicle of wealth creation that you are getting into. Okay. So, number five is consistent review and updates. Consistent reviews and update. Then number six is succession planning. Then number seven, structure and governance. Okay, I hope this makes sense. Thank you so much for listening, for watching, and so we'll see you again tomorrow, where we'll be looking at passing real estate from one generation to the other. How do you go about that?